So let's open up the Durst bag of tricks here. Brad Micklin with me on set here, trial attorney. So let's start with the first attack that the prosecution or that the defense has made on the prosecution's agency with this production company. I think it's a valiant effort, but let's go through the analysis. What do you think the defense was trying to say, and how did they fail?
Well, the defense was trying to say that the production company was acting as if they were the prosecutor or acting for the state, on behalf of the state. So anything that they obtained would be, or would have to be obtained constitutionally. And if it's obtained by an individual, it could be obtained almost anyway. So they're trying to argue that because they obtained it at maybe the direction of the state, they should be treated like actors or members of the state, and therefore he gets the same kind of protections.
And that kicks in Fourth Amendment protections, et cetera.
Right.
It failed, but you know, it's kind of a sliding scale of that participation. So what do you think the key ingredient is that allowed the prosecution to basically cut ties with that production company as an agent? What would they really have needed to do to connect them as an agency?
They would have to have specific direction. The prosecutor or a governmental agent of some sort would have to go and contact in some way the production company and say, do this or do that or get me this. If there was that kind of direct instruction, then they could tie it together as if they were acting as an agent of the government. But I don't think they have that.
They apparently did not convince the court of that. And, you know, we just listened to the prosecution there, Mr. Lewin, laying out some of the details as he sees them of the crime, of the murder. But hold on, we don't even get there. It's not like Durst admits that he was there, that he saw anybody, that he was involved. He just didn't do it. He had nothing to do with it. So at this point in the pretrial phase, what's the prosecution's effort here? What are they doing?
Well, they're trying to build a circumstantial case. And Durst has a stream of bodies in his past that he seemed to walk away from. So I think they're trying very carefully to build very strong, very safe foundation to try to make this jury believe that he committed this crime.
Brad Micklin, we know that it was the wife that we believe he killed in '82, which the victim in this case, the Berman case, had knowledge of. And then there's that one in Texas in between. The landlord in Galveston that he pulled the Scandarito defense, I call it here. Everybody remembers, I'm sure, the Scandarito case where Junior testified that, yeah, I cut my dad up in pieces and I threw chunks in the dumpster at the golf course, but I didn't kill him. Well, Durst basically said the same thing about this guy in Texas, so he was convicted of dismembering the body and dumping it. How much of that's coming in? What's this jury in this case going to learn?
It's hard to say. There's so much that they're trying to admit. And the rules of evidence do allow a lot of these statements to come in, like we just heard, like these admissions. I'm not a big fan of it because when you take things like, you know, him mumbling, yeah, I killed them all, you know, that could be in so many different contexts.
Could have been sarcastic.
Yeah, he could have said, yeah, I killed them all, or could have said, I killed them all. And depending on how that's going to the jury is going to really impact how they view him. And it's, I don't know, I'm not a fan of it, even though the rules allow for it.
Yeah, in California, too, lots of latitude with what comes in terms of prior crimes and prior bad acts. So that's not a good thing for Durst, who will be standing trial in January for the death of Susan Berman. Yeah, there's no doubt that the jury, Brad Micklin, they want it. They want to put the pieces together. And if they're left scratching their head as to why somebody would do what they did, they may not believe, beyond a reasonable doubt, some of the elements necessary.
Right. That's why, I mean, we can all sit there and say, well, you know, motive's not an element of the crime, but that's why lawyers are never on juries, because that's how we think. I think a person wants to hear a motive. They want to understand why somebody would do something like this. And remember, it's not important that he even did kill his wife. But if he thought she was going to say he did and he would get in trouble, that's motive to kill her. Even if he was innocent of the past one, which I don't think he is. I think he killed all these people.
That's a whole other story. And the judge pointed that out. He said, we're not saying you have to prove, Mr. Prosecutor, that he killed his wife in actuality. You just got to make sure you prove that Durst thought somebody had information that he did. It is all HBO's fault, according to Chip Lewis, the defense counsel there. He is saying, Brad Micklin, not just that HBO was an agent of the state, which we've talked about before, but they helped facilitate the motive of the prosecution just to come up with evidence that they needed to put Mr. Durst on trial here.
Right. And maybe they did, but it wasn't the state's intention. The prosecutor's office, the district attorney, they don't go after an HBO company and say, hey, can you edit this film for me? Or can you go out and tape these statements for me? It just happens to be they got these statements. And I think the defense is right. They were trying to make it a compelling, entertaining documentary. They weren't really interested so much in the truth first as much as being able to sell it later. But that's not anything that the state did.